everyone. We've got the family in the homesteading kitchen today. We are doing apple cider and canned peaches. We got a beautiful harvest the other day. We got a whole bunch of apples. We got 8 buckets and a crate full of apples. So roughly about 8.5 bushels of apples. And we got a half a bushel of peaches. So I'm gonna turn this camera around and show you what I'm working on. So I am set up and working on blanching my peaches. So I have washed them here in this sink. I'm dipping them in hot water here, and anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute. They're not gonna cook in that amount of time. And then I have very cold water here. So I just have this big strainer for canning that I picked up a long time ago. And I can pick up several peaches at once. They're not, they're not beauty queen peaches. These are just backyard peaches. I believe the variety was, I don't even remember. So I just dip them out, dip them in the cold water, and when I've got them all done, then I can start peeling them. So I turned off the burner to save the electricity. It's hot enough on its own just sitting. And then I scoop up some cold ones and start all over again. It works really well to do it this way. And the cold water is cooling them so that you don't have any injuries to your hands at all.
How is the Game Boy for me?
Okay, so I've got myself all set up, and I have been showing you that I have been peeling the peaches, and you can do this before or after blanching. You make a little X on the bottom, and that helps you to grab that little edge and start peeling it. Don't worry about like your backyard peaches having this little spots on the outside. When I peel that skin off, that is all gone. I don't know if it's from sunburn or for pest damage, but for the most part, these peaches, even these ugly ones, look just fine on the inside. So I peel it, I slice it in half here, throw the skins in the pits here for the chickens, and I've got just a little bit of lemon water here, or you could just use citric acid, and you can sprinkle it on or dissolve it in water. And you can use this also in your canning, just to have it as your liquid in your packing your jars. I also have a pot of honey and water right here for a light syrup, and it's 1 to 4 is the ratio. So 1 cup of honey, 4 cups of water. And I think I've got about a mix of about 3 there for that. So I think I'm going to end up with at least 7 jars here, and pretty much a normal size peach I can cut into 4 or 6 slices. So you can peel it just with your fingers, like this. And if I didn't blanch it in the hot water long enough before shocking it in the cold, they don't peel up well. Or if they're more underripe than some of the others. This tree was losing so many all at once that it was just best to pick the whole thing. So see how that's all spotted? When I peel that off, it's totally fine underneath. So don't let that worry you. I know a lot of people talk about the cost of peaches and canning peaches, so they don't do it. We didn't get very many peaches from this tree last year, and the tree next to it that isn't doing well lost a lot of branches because it was over heavy last year. So I pulled that pit out of there, and then I just take that. I've got myself a little cutting board set right here, slice it up into 3, and in the pot it goes. It's good to be able to do this at the sink so you can rinse your hands frequently, because it does get a little bit gooey. I see people doing this in other videos and they have a perfectly firm peach underneath. Now, I don't know if that's because they're underripe, but to show you up close, see that texture? It's a little bit mushy on that outer layer. It's no problem. And with the honey versus doing sugar, it's from my own hives, so I know what's going into my jars. It's for my family, and some people don't like any sugar at all, and you can do that also. We in store-bought do juice, peaches in juice. And if you look at the contents, sometimes it's a variety of different juices, such as apple juice or grape juice. They're just kind of making up that difference. So this way, I'm using fruit from our own backyard and all our own ingredients. So see, that one didn't take very long at all. And I basically just score it around the edge just to help me. Pull that pit out. If you've got a little bit of it left there, you can cut it. Occasionally in the center, you can feel a little bit of hardness from that pit that's separated. Pull that out, because that is not a nice surprise when you were eating a can of peaches. So I'm halfway here. It's slow going. It's nice to put yourself a little show or something. You see I got my earbuds on. I'm watching YouTube just like you are. Okay, so I have moved on to jarring up my peaches, and I am doing a raw pack, also referred to in the old days as cold pack. I don't want to do a hot syrup on cold peaches and then put them in hot water bath canner. So my water bath canner, I warmed it up to sanitize my jars earlier, and they're just lukewarm. They've cooled even just since I've been doing this. Peeling the peaches can be very slow. So what I've done is set my jars out, and I use this big strainer to get a good scoop of my peaches. And then with my funnel, filled each one of my jars individually. And now I'm going to top each jar off to about a 1/2 inch headspace, so right about this band here, with my syrup. And like I said before, this is 4-to-1 honey to water, and we're just going to fill these all up. I actually have more than 7 jars full, so that's enough for a tart or a cobbler. So the best way I have found to fill liquid in my jars is to use one of these big Pyrex measuring cups. And after you have these filled, go ahead and use a debubbler to move the fruit around. And then, as always, at the end, you clean off your rims with a clean, wet rag, and you can use boiling water. Some people like to use vinegar. You can use paper towel or reusable cloths. It does not matter. So the reason for the cooler water bath canner right now with doing this cold pack or raw pack is if you put cold jars into a hot bath, what happens is the bottom of the jar, like right here, just bursts out. It just gets a perfect crack along the bottom. And then you've lost all of your contents right into your canner with the glass and the syrup and everything. And you can't really interrupt the canning process either to pull them out. All right, I'm just going to continue on with this. It's very nice, slow, quiet afternoon to do this. Okay, so I have some hot water over my lids and bands. This sterilizes them, sanitizes them. Use a magnetic wand to pull them out. Tongs can work. Now just finger tight there. And I am using ball lids and bands. I recently picked up another brand called Pure at Menards, and they were a little bit more money, and they all sealed. I didn't have any issues with them that way, but I did notice that with the pressure canning and with the hot water bath canning, in every batch I did, I had one lid that wanted to like bulge up, and eventually it did go back down and seal, but that was concerning to me because I thought, boy, that just looks like it was going to blow right off. So we really respected that 24-hour cooling time on those jars. So if you want to add cinnamon stick, anything like that, this would be the time to do it. I know some people like to put some spices in, like a whole clove or anything. I just like it simple. And as you can see in the background, we've had a lot of canning going on. We've got some seed saving going on here. The kitchen has been very busy this last week. And when I set out to check the grapes yesterday, I did not plan on picking a 1/2 bushel of peaches also. All right, so these are all finger tight now. They're going to go right in the water bath canner. So I've set my jars down in the canner. You want to make sure you have at least 1 inch of water over the top. And if you are doing a hot water bath, you want to add hot water over those to not shock them. We're doing cool. This is just kind of lukewarm. It's not hot nor cold, just tap water warm, because it's been sitting there cooling for probably an hour or two. We're going to put the lid on that and get it up to a boil. And once it starts boiling, this is a 20-minute water bath for quarts. So while the canner is going, I don't want to run it, cool it, and everything for 2 more jars. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and make a peach cobbler. So I have put a little bit of melted butter in the bottom of the pan. All my leftover peaches, this is probably about 3 cups. It's a small pan. And a little sprinkle of cinnamon over the top. Now the cinnamon is optional. I just really like cinnamon. Here I've got 1 farm fresh egg. This is buttermilk that was reserved from making our butter this morning. 3/4 of a cup. We're gonna mix that together. Is that lovely? And here I've got just a splash of our homemade vanilla. Okay, so after the vanilla, just a couple of spoons of sugar, about 2 tablespoons. And now I'm just kind of mixing in slowly a cup of flour. A lot of people do like to do your dry ingredients separate from your wet. Normally I do this in the mixer, and the order of it doesn't really matter. But with canning day, there's so many dishes already. And I already made butter this morning, and I didn't really want to mess with washing the mixer one more time. You just want to stir it together to a nice consistency. All right. Looking good. Now I know some recipes say melted butter or softened butter or just cut in the butter. I want it fully incorporated, and I've tried it both ways. And when I cut in the butter, it always seems to be pretty lumpy and dry. So I'm going with the more melted butter. And the homemade butter melts so easy. It's always a little more softened than store-bought. So now we're just going to drop this by the spoonful over the whole mixture. And we're going to put it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes. I did forget to say I added a teaspoon of baking powder to my mix when I was adding the flour. So don't forget to leave that out. I'll put the recipe down in the description below. Go ahead and leave your comments. But what do you think? How does that look for a wonderful dessert tonight? Okay, our 25 minutes is up. Our peaches are out. Remember, put them in a draft-free area if you have to cover them with a towel to keep that from happening. Draftiness from an air conditioner or window ceiling fan. Keep them covered because it can actually crack your hot jars. And as the time goes by here, you'll start hearing ping, ping, ping of the suction of that jar sealing. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.